Atlanta and the Absurd Hero.
Atlanta is the capital city of the state of Georgia. It is the home of cocaine cola and the world's busiest... Atlanta is the surrealist absurdist brainchild of Donnie and Steve-O Glover. Donnie, who plays the main character, is also known for his appearance in media such as The Monarchy and Dysfunctional Found Family TMCR. He's also known for his several Wu-Tang Clan editions, which range from fantastic to whacktastic. Beyond all that, however, Atlanta is a masterpiece of television and a retelling of my favorite book. Please hear me out. Part 1 on the origins of existentialism. Albert Camus is a French philosopher and a hilarious victim of dramatic irony, who anyone who's read my previous work will know by the moniker Daddy. Camus, besides having 4 mistresses, also wrote a bunch of books in the field of existentialism. Existentialism was basically, yo, did you hear God's dead? What? No way. Yeah man, shit's crazy. At which point there was an awkward silence because now life has no meaning. Then a bunch of primarily French dudes and dudettes descended upon the presumably rioting masses saying, yo, did you hear about our new philosophy? It gives life meaning! And this new philosophy was existentialism. Classical existentialism had 3 main points. 1. There is no God. 2. Therefore, there is no inherent meaning or duty to life. 3. Thus, one must make their own meaning in life. And people were like, oh, c'est magnifique, j'adore l'existentialisme. And then Albert Camus came by and was like, franchement pas de cigarette, and proceeded to publish the Myth of Sisyphus in 1942. Right? Yeah. Camus was like, oui, no meaning in life, but people are desperate for meaning in life. And these 2 incompatible facts generated the absurd. Camus' name for the deep incongruity between the human strive for meaning and the cold, uncaring daddy universe who refused to pay attention to us no matter how much we cried and screamed and shitted our pants. Okay, cool. What now, Albert? Well, the aforementioned The Myth of Sisyphus book included The Myth of Sisyphus essay, which was a deconstruction within the framework of the absurd of The Myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was this ancient Greek dude who saw this whole death thing and was like, nah, I'm a skit. And in return for his hubris, the notoriously chill Greek gods cursed him by having him read the same paragraph over and over again for all eternity, only to realize at the very end that he processed none of it and having to start again at the beginning. Sorry, I meant roll rock uphill and rock fall down. Camus saw Sisyphus and said littéralement moi, because that is the absurd human condition. Syphilis' task is absurd by design. It has no meaning, it has no end, and he is further denied purpose by the repetitive and meaningless nature of his own existence. But, unlike us, he has nothing to delude him into thinking that he has meaning or purpose. So Camus sees this and says one must imagine Sisyphus happy, i.e., meaning is ultimately unnecessary. Here Camus differs from the existentialist that came before him, saying you shouldn't construct your own meaning, nah, that's weak sauce. Instead, you have an obligation to live in full knowledge that life is meaningless and find happiness despite it, just to spite the very gods that cursed you with existence. Sisyphus is termed by Camus the absurd hero, one who is not driven by morality or values, but rather the opposite, by a lack of clear values and a disbelief in succinct objective morality. Put simply, the absurd hero recognizes the absurdity of their own existence. So Atlanta.
Part 2. Atlanta is absurd.
Camus invented a cool new term for us to lump in with the rest. But what do I do with it, Albert? Well, good question. Let's consult the books. Absurdism differs from classical existentialism both in level of coolness and also in what it says one should do in order to combat the meaningless nature of the universe. This is where Camus' best work, Don't At Me, comes in. The Plague is a 1947 piece of escapist fantasy set in the French Algerian city of Oran, which is put under quarantine after a plague breaks out. It became a bestseller for the first time in over half a century in 2020. Our main character is Bernard Darius, a doctor who's just doing his best, and is joined by a cast of supporting characters, all of whom deal with the titular plague in different ways, varying from writing a book about horses to dying. Like with Sex and the City, the plague is the 5th main character. It is also a manifestation of the absurd. It's an unstoppable force of nature, killing indiscriminately. It's Daddy Universe taking away Timmy's legs in a horrible lawnmower accident, or letting Elon Musk be born to rich parents. It defies any sort of explanation and breaks every single human concept of meaning. But how does this relate to Atlanta, you ask? Don't cut me off! I'm getting to it. Atlanta is a show that lives off of two things. The first is the cast of characters and the amazing people portraying each of them. The second is the absurd reality in which the show itself takes place. Let's address the latter first. Media can often be used as a point of comfort within our absurd realities, comprising a comprehensive sequence of causes and effects. That's why we love Rube Goldberg-esque narratives that feel like a series of well-planned turns, like Fracturing Foul or The Final Wind Mover. Conversely, we have shows like Phineas and Ferb, which return to the status quo every single time and provide us with a clear set of rules and expectations. Atlanta does neither, having no standardized narrative progression, nor a revolving door plot. There is no status quo, yet things happen with little to no explanation presented to the viewers or the characters.
Bite this sandwich.
Nah, I'm good, man.
Occasionally things will be stated to happen, only to be ignored or even contradicted with absolutely no acknowledgement. The show, both to us and to the characters, is absurd. Now, absurdism does not equal surrealism. Absurdism and surrealism are neither mutually exclusive nor interdependent. Surrealism is an artistic movement aiming at the fracturing of standard human perception in order to produce some deeper emotional reality or concept. Absurdism is what I've explained so far. I'm not explaining it again. Absurdism can go hand in hand with surrealism, but you can't have one without the other. Now, as for the characters. Part 3. Comparatively coinciding contrasting characters and aforementioned content. Atlanta, the setting, is essential to Atlanta, the series. But much like in The Plague, the characters and how they approach the world around them is the lifeblood of the show. In both works, different ways to approach the absurd are shown through the different members of the cast, most of which are conveyed through the text to be wrong. And for every character in Atlanta, there's a parallel within The Plague. There's Ernest, who is arguably the main character of the show and is portrayed by Donnie Glover in the same way they portrayed a jock portraying a bed. Ern is very clever and extremely intelligent, but he's also deeply unsure of his place in society, and his validity as a black man is constantly being called into question.
Were you told as a child you talk white? Sometimes.
Ern does good things, but not because he seeks to do good. Rather, he thinks others will think of what he does as good. And the show constantly bankrupts him for his fake generosity and punishes him when he tries to assert himself through toxic masculinity. Slay! It's only when Ern acts authentically and outside of common consensus that he is rewarded by the show. He schemes and gets Paperboy on the radio. He follows Darius' plan and gets $2,000. And he lets Alex act extrajudicial violence on a skeevy club manager. Ern deeply resembles Taru, an intelligent young man who is drawn to the quarantine city for a mix of validation of his ideals and personal glory. Taru is unable to detach himself from the ways others view him, and as such is punished by the narrative. Alfred, Ern's cousin whom he manages, believes things work a certain way and that any deviation from such should be ignored. For Al, the absurd rears its head in relation to his newly found celebrity status, and his obstinance to engage with his absurd reality leads him to punishment. He has a horrible trip while running away from fans in Amsterdam. He also refuses to participate in Instagram advertising and is forced by a bunch of fans to recognize him into a nightmare odyssey in the woods after they attack him, only escaping by finally making a decision and taking a photo with a fan. Al is like Father Penelu, a priest who, when repeatedly met by the absurd due to his role as public figure, refuses to let go of his failed belief that the plague is divinely ordained. He is obstinate to a fault, believing God will protect those who play by the rules, and he is punished. Vanessa is the mother of Ern's child, and also aimless. She has aspirations, yet nothing seems to click for her, and she's unsure of her general role or direction in life. Van's parallel in The Plague is Rambert, a Parisian journalist who gets stuck in Oran during the plague outbreak by sheer bad luck. Van, like Rambert, is not singularly localized to Atlanta, having grown up and spent time in Germany. In the same way the outbreak shackles Rambert, Van feels shackled by an accidental pregnancy at a young age. In contrast to Taru and Penelu, Rambert is eventually able to accept the absurd. Although he spends much of the book trying to escape Oran, he eventually decides to stay and help Rien, continuing to live in order to one day see his beloved again in Paris. In the finale of Season 3, Van literally escapes to Paris to live a double life, but, thanks to her friends, realizes it is the attachment and love that she feels for her daughter that she truly misses. And then there's Darius. Part 4. Darius is the absurd hero of Camus' wet dreams. Darius is the absurd hero to a P.
Oh, that is just him. That is exactly him. To a P.
While Ern, Al, and Van all go around in circles being continuously punished by the narrative for transgressions against the absurd, Darius is rewarded because he is able to accept and embrace the absurd. Darius knows the universe has no meaning and doesn't believe in time as a concept.
I don't believe in time as a concept, so I'll just say we always met.
Darius cannot have kids, a classic way of fooling yourself into thinking your life has meaning because his balls were crushed when he was a kid in Nigeria.
When is it appropriate time to talk about my balls getting smashed?
He cannot maintain the species. While Ern, Al, and Van are all scared of the irrationality of the world around them, Darius embraces it. He's excited to see the alligator. He finds a cool blueprint and decides to follow it, and we know from a reputable drug dealer in Amsterdam that he has seen the other side. Darius is also fine with disappointment. He's not mad about not getting the piano, and he's fine with not measuring the tree, able to accept both the good and the bad in the world. Most importantly, Darius cares about those around him. Absurdism does not equal moral nihilism. There are still good and bad things, it's just up to you to decipher what you think they are. Darius recognizes this. He refuses to partake in the assisted suicide of a disabled man, and when he puts Ern in a tight spot, he makes it up to him. Darius's parallel, civil servant Joseph Grun, is the same. When his neighbor tries the old news trick, he saves him despite never having met him. And throughout the story, he consistently helps Rien and the others combat the plague. In his free time, Joseph Grun rewrites the first line of his novel again and again, always deleting it at the end. Yet, he seems content, and he goes through the entire story unpunished. Joseph Grun sees life for what it is, and he lives his life doing good and enjoying himself simply because he doesn't see a reason not to. Part 5, Conclusion and Author Insertion. Atlanta is so good. The Plague is so good. Please consume both, immediately. But, for some final remarks. Joseph Grun is the absurd hero, but Rien, a flawed individual who recognizes the absurd yet doesn't always act accordingly with it, is often touted as Camus' stand-in. Similarly, although Donny Glover is more than capable of portraying an enjoyable weirdo, he's not Darius. He is Ern. The ideal of the absurd hero who simply accepts the absurd and lives life with complete inner peace is, at the end of the day, just that, an ideal. It should act as inspiration. Darius' lifestyle is inherently unattainable, as to attain complete acceptance of the human condition is to lose touch with the human condition. The human condition is struggle. Camus spent a lot of time on the question of why not just end it all. In Atlanta, that question is more relevant than ever. In the face of an absurd, irrational world that constantly tramples you, why keep trying? Why not just give up? Atlanta and Camus answer in unison. One must imagine Darius happy. I did not read the line, I just started speaking. It's so fucking hot here. Yeah. Daddy. Wee wee. Wee wee. Wee wee. Wee wee. No meaning in life. Sisyphus is Camus. Within the framework of the Greek myth, the AC was on the entire time. I hate my life. The plague. This is recorded 4 days before removing the cast. And he lets Al exact hegemonia. I hate you. I hate you. You are the bane of my existence! Atlanta, the setting. That's a joke. Fuck the AC. I turned it off this time. Fuck yes. Ah. I'm kidding, I love your air conditioner. If you ever stop, I will die. What was my third example? He finds a ghoul. Yeah, that's good enough. Fuck it.